Thank you very much. Thank you all. This has been really interesting testimony. I think there's over 1 million drones registered with the FAA. They can be used for some really good stuff. Farmers in Minnesota are using them for farm management, civil engineers for surveying. I especially see this in rural areas when we have everything from train wrecks on. They're incredibly helpful. We also know the risks. You just brought up this, Mr. Dixon, at the Correctional Institute, and I hadn't thought through all that. Thank you. We know that there's privacy concerns, and our liberties, which Senator Durbin, I know, discussed. I just want to start with something that's on my mind a lot, Ms. Daskal, and that is commercial aviation. As you noted in your written testimony, drones accounted for nearly 2/3 of near misses with commercial passenger planes, which is kind of an extraordinary number. You also noted that airports lack critical authority to protect against drone incursions. We saw what happened in LA with the firefighting plane at a time of just critical danger. What authority should Congress provide airports and other critical infrastructure operators to ensure they're able to protect the public?
Thank you, Senator. I share the concerns, particularly the concerns around airports and critical infrastructure. And as I said in my testimony, I think that the legislation, the bipartisan legislation that was introduced by Senator Peters and Senator Johnson is a really good place to start, and it does a couple of things. First, it gives airport owners and critical infrastructure owners new authority to engage in advanced detection measures, which they don't currently have, to be able to identify the threats that do arise. That is important. It's also subject to training requirements, to privacy compliance requirements, to the use of technologies that are tested and approved. And secondly, the other piece of this that I also think is critical is ensuring that state, local authorities have the ability to mitigate as appropriate, subject to oversight and review.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm a co-sponsor of that bill, and we hope we can move that. News organizations, you know how we have to protect their right to be able to take photos and the like of disasters, so the public knows that. Could you talk about balancing the uses that news organizations have for drones so that they don't interfere with public safety? Quickly.
Yes, absolutely. So as you know, Senator, the FAA has the authority to put in place temporary flight restrictions for a range of reasons, including safety and security reasons. There is also a process by which media organizations can seek waivers in the event that there are temporary flight restrictions in order to engage in First Amendment protected activity and to ensure that the public is made aware of critical information, and those waivers, that process needs to continue.
Okay, thank you. Sergeant Dooley, in your testimony, written testimony, you suggested granting state and local law enforcement limited counter-UAS authorities subject to standardized training and certification. There are examples of this across law enforcement. For example, all bomb technicians across the country are trained at the FBI's Hazardous Device School. How would you envision this standardized training?
Number one, it would have to come from, I think, one of our federal partners that's already been authorized to do this and has been doing it. They would have the most experience. Number two, I don't think that everybody necessarily would need this right off the bat. I think there should be some level of credentialing as to different levels of detection and mitigation as well. You may have like a multi-tiered approach of someone that just can simply detect and do nothing about it because whatever reason, and then you go down the list, and then you may have more critical infrastructure or maybe a higher profile target area that may need those additional permissions. I think that you should have, like, for example, like just to be a drone pilot, I have to get a Part 107 Airman certificate, right? I have to register my drone. There's a process in place. When I wanted to drive a car, I had to go take a driving test. Like, there's tests for everything. I wanted to be a trooper. I had to go to school.
I got it.
Yeah, so this is no different. I think we could figure it out to where there would be different levels.
Got it.
I think one of the four should definitely be the starting point.
Okay, thank you. My last question, Mr. Dixon, you talked about things being smuggled in through drones into prisons. You also noted that correctional facilities are legally prohibited from employing counter-UAS technology. Could you talk about the threat to correctional officers and inmates at a facility?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Absolutely. Anytime drugs are introduced to the compound and the kind of contraband that comes in, it increases the threat. in terms of, I've seen a 98% increase in outside medical trips or security in the last several years, much of that related to the contraband drones bring in. It's one of the most dangerous things we do, is take inmates outside of our fence to local hospitals. The violence that's associated with the drugs coming in, the contraband coming in, has increased exponentially since this became a problem.
Mm-hmm. And last, just when the drones breach the perimeter, it is obviously a major threat, but what type of counter-UAS authorities do correctional facilities need? And make it quick, because I've gone over my time.
We need, and we're not resistant at all to oversight and training, but we need the ability to mitigate that threat to a greater extent than we do now, to intercept those drones coming over our facility.
Thank you.
Senator Brett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.